The night my wife walked out still feels like yesterday. The door closed softly, yet the silence that followed thundered through every corner of my soul. I sat on the couch staring at the photo of us on our wedding day. Her smile brighter than sunlight, mine filled with hope. We weren't perfect, but I thought love would be enough to weather the storms. I didn't realize how distant I had grown, buried in work, ignoring the quiet tears behind her laughter. That evening, when she said she needed space, I didn't stop her. Maybe pride, maybe confusion. But when the door shut, it felt like my heartbeat left with her. Days turned into nights that bled together. The house that once echoed with her laughter became a museum of memories. Her mug was still by the sink, her favorite book half read beside the bed. Every corner reminded me of her presence, and every morning felt like waking into emptiness. I tried calling, texting, even writing letters I never sent. Nothing. It was as though life had pressed pause. Friends told me to move on, but how do you move on from the person who feels like home? Then one afternoon, a knock came at the door. When I opened it, I saw her mother standing there. The woman who had always looked at me like a son. Her eyes carried both love and disappointment. She didn't ask permission to come in, she just walked past me, looked around, and sighed. "This house feels hollow," she said softly. I nodded, unable to speak. She didn't come to scold or to blame. She came because she understood that sometimes two hearts need a gentle bridge to find their way back. That evening, we sat at the kitchen table, the same one where my wife and I had shared countless meals and dreams. Her mother made tea, just like my wife used to, and talked about small things, the weather, her garden, the little cat that had started sleeping on her porch. Slowly the conversation turned toward her daughter. "She's hurting," she said. "But so are you. Love isn't about who's right, it's about who's willing to listen." Those words sank deep into me like sunlight breaking through clouds. In the days that followed, her mother stayed. She cooked meals, opened the windows to let light back in, and spoke gently about forgiveness. Every story she shared about her own marriage carried lessons I had forgotten. About patience, empathy, and the power of small gestures. She told me how love isn't proven in grand declarations but in the quiet moments. Making coffee, listening without interrupting, being present even in silence. Her wisdom was like healing rain, soft but steady. This story isn't just about a husband, a wife, and a mother-in-law. It's about all of us who've lost something precious and found it again through faith and humility. If you believe in the power of second chances, share this story, and let it remind someone today that love, pure, patient, and kind, always finds its way home. I began changing, not to win my wife back, but to rediscover the man she once loved, the man I had lost somewhere between ambition and routine. I started gardening again, fixing the leaky tap she used to complain about, cooking her favorite dishes even when I ate alone. Each small act felt like a promise whispered into the air. Her mother noticed. "You're beginning to see again," she said one morning. "Not just look, but truly see." The one morning as I sat on the porch sipping tea, her mother placed an envelope on the table. "She wrote this weeks ago," she said. My hands trembled as I opened it. My wife's handwriting danced across the page, soft and familiar. She spoke of her pain, her loneliness, and her hope that we could find each other again. Not as who we were, but as who we could become. She hadn't given up, she just needed time. I cried, not from sorrow, but from gratitude. Love was still alive, waiting for me to meet it halfway. Her mother decided to leave a few days later, but before going, she said something I'll never forget. "Sometimes God sends storms not to break us, but to clear our path." As I stood at the doorway watching her walk away, I realized she hadn't just mended my house. She had mended my heart. She had reminded me that love isn't lost when someone walks out, it's lost when we stop believing it can return. Weeks passed, and then one quiet evening, I heard a knock. My heart knew that rhythm. I opened the door, and there she was, my wife, standing with teary eyes and hesitant steps. For a moment, we said nothing. Then she whispered, "Mom told me you changed." I smiled through tears, replying, "No, she reminded me who I was." She stepped closer, and in that moment words became unnecessary. Love spoke through silence. We sat together for hours, not talking about the past but about everything we still had ahead. We cooked dinner, laughed about old memories, and watched the stars from our porch like we used to. It wasn't perfect. Love never is. But it was real, rebuilt not from guilt or fear but from understanding. She told me she had missed the sound of home, and I told her she was my home all along. Over the next few months, we learned to walk slowly, to forgive without keeping score. Her mother visited often, smiling quietly when she saw us together. She became the anchor of our new beginning, the silent witness to a love reborn. Sometimes we would all sit in the garden, Her mother sipping tea, my wife sketching flowers, and me reading aloud. Peace had returned, not as a gift but as a reward for faith. I began to document our journey, not for fame but for remembrance. I wanted to capture how love, when watered with patience, can bloom again even after drought. My wife started painting again, her canvases now filled with colors brighter than before. She said love, once healed, paints life differently. And she was right. Looking back, I realized her walking out was never the end, it was the beginning of rediscovery. Sometimes we must lose someone to remember how to truly see them. And sometimes, it takes a mother's gentle wisdom to remind us what love really means, not possession, not perfection, but presence. Every night now, before sleeping, I hold her hand and whisper a silent thank you. To her mother, and to the universe for giving us a second chance. Because love, in its purest form, isn't about never falling apart, it's about choosing to rebuild, again and again, with grace. If you're listening to this, remember, love doesn't fade when someone leaves. It only fades when you stop believing in its return. So hold on, forgive, grow, and when love knocks again, open the door. You might just find that the heart you thought was broken was only waiting to be healed. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that true love never dies. It just waits for the right moment to bloom again. Subscribe for more heart-touching love stories that remind us all that faith, patience, and kindness can heal any distance. The comment below: do you believe in second chances in love? Like this video if you felt the emotions. Because your one click can spread hope to someone who's losing it today. Turn on notifications and join our community where love always finds its way home.